Bitcoin is hovering around 29,400. It is the honey badger of crypto because central banks raise rates. It doesn't care. Curve Finance has an exploit. It doesn't care. What does crypto care about? What does Bitcoin care about? Well, let's find out. Joining us now to discuss the crypto markets is eToro U.S. investment analyst Callie Cox. Welcome, Callie. Happy Monday.
Happy Monday. Thanks for having me. And you're right. Bitcoin is kind of acting like a honey badger.
It really is. But I do want to get to this whole thing about what happened here with Curve because, $50 million drained in this latest exploit. Tell us, walk us through the difference here. It's obvious to us the difference between CeFi, centralized finance, and DeFi, decentralized finance. But for the average investor who's looking to get into this, get into trading, or want to know more about, should they be involved in DeFi? Explain to them the difference here and what kind of risks in each.
Yeah, sure. So, first of all, centralized finance versus decentralized finance is a choice. It's ultimately up to the investor on which side you want to take. And you can try out both avenues, to be very, very clear. But the thing you have to consider in decentralized finance, and of course we all know decentralized finance is basically, financial protocols built off of the blockchain, not controlled by one party. The transactions are more focused between, in between one party two parties really without a facilitator. But the thing you need to consider is the fact that one centralized party does create a little more trust in the ecosystem and does provide you with, certain barriers of protection and safety. But at the same time, you have to be able to trust that centralized party. So, when we think about centralized finance, that's traditional finance. A lot of centralized parties are the Fed, different governmental agencies. And while the idea of decentralization is, alive and well here, and there are, reasons out there not to trust centralized parties, security hacks like what we're seeing or what we saw with Curve just recently is one reason to, maybe be a little wary or maybe take into some considerations when it comes to investing or putting your money into decentralized protocols.
So trustless, which was basically the underpinning of crypto, seems to be a problem in crypto, is what you're saying.
I don't think it's a problem. It's just something that's come up as the space has grown quite a bit. It's something the space needs to address, but it's not, I don't think it's insurmountable. So,
speaking of insurmountable, let's look at the price of Bitcoin here, because I tend not to look at these things, calendar patterns, because everything is different. Like our children, each one is a special, unique snowflake, and that's what I'm going to say about units of time when it comes to Bitcoin. Nonetheless, people look at calendars and they say, August and September, those 2 months are when Bitcoin goes through this lull period for whatever reason. I don't know what it is. Phases of the moon, who knows? It's not an issue as far as I'm concerned. But what does this mean?
Yeah. So as you mentioned, we're kind of getting into the dog days of summer here. And something you should consider if you are a crypto investor or a stocks investor is that people are going off to the beach. They're not looking at their portfolios or trading their portfolios. So trading volumes are probably going to be lower as we get into, August and the beginning of September. And when that happens, when trading volumes are lower, markets move a lot quicker on more inconsequential headlines. So you're right. Bitcoin seasonality, or, the seasonal patterns we see show that Bitcoin prices have been a little bit weaker in August and September. It's not necessarily a bad thing. And you can definitely see trading volumes help a price if a good headline comes across the tape. But it's something to be aware of. It's a reason to stick to your targets more and consider hedging your portfolio, especially if you're taking that vacation to the beach.
Callie, I think you don't know enough degens because they'll trade no matter what. They don't care. At the beach, they don't. It's just nonstop trading. I don't know what you're talking about.
Hey, if that's how you want to roll, I definitely support it. I lay off my portfolio when I go to the beach, but I know you're right. So many people don't.
Money never sleeps. Okay, Callie, you mentioned in your notes that the majority of U.S. retail don't think we're in a bull market. You're saying a lot of people are expecting another big dip. Are you expecting that? What do you think?
Yeah, I find this surprising. And, this stat that I put in there comes from our Q3 Retail Investor Beat survey. We surveyed 10,000 global investors, basically asked them what they're expecting, what they're investing in, what they're worried about. And we asked them, do you think the S&P 500 and markets in general are in a bull market? And, when we're talking about a bull market, we mean just a period of, just considerably or consistently rising prices. And 86% of investors said they don't think so, which is a shock to me because, of course, if you look at the S&P, we're up, 30% plus since the October lows. And obviously, Bitcoin is up quite a bit as well since its lows back at the end of 2022. So I think that shows that there's a lot of doubt in this rally. There's a lot of skepticism, and that could also mean a lot of people on the sidelines. I do want to be clear, though. I think Bitcoin is seen as a more quality, safe haven asset within the crypto space, and it's benefited from the fact that there has been a lot of doubt about this rally and a lot of skepticism about the future. So it's interesting. We've actually seen speculative coins do better over the past few weeks compared to Bitcoin. And that could be because the attitude is, lifting a little bit.
So speaking of which, Mike Novogratz, a guy who woke up one day and said, it'd be a good idea. I'm going to get a giant Luna tattoo on my shoulder. What could possibly go wrong? So he said Larry Fink was the best thing to happen at Bitcoin this year. I mean, should I start worrying?
Well, I'll throw out what I say about bubbles and, frothiness all the time. I don't think you can say that we're in a bubble or a frothy period until you're past it. People say that a lot in hindsight. Right now, I think the skepticism is a good sign. The fact that, again, people are sitting on the sidelines, that, people feel a little bit nervous when they're considering those speculative trades. And the fact that we're seeing speculation doesn't automatically mean, prices have gone too far and we're preparing for a pullback. I mean, we're seeing economic data tick up with the rallies we've seen in both stocks and Bitcoin as well, which I think is an encouraging sign. And I think, people are just recalibrating their portfolios slowly to realize that, we could be past this economic worry and these recession worries. I'm not saying for good. Nobody knows what the future holds, but, I think that investors have been a little too pessimistic and now they're slowly moving their way to the other side.
I don't know if I'm a pessimist, but I definitely want to chart the tattoos on Mike Novogratz's body and just see if there's a way to short everything that's on there.
I think you could do that for your next segment, Lawrence. Yeah. I would love that.
Yeah, great idea.
Yeah, let's go take a bunch of weird photos of him, see, what logos he's got, and just go the other way.
All right, Callie, on that note, we are going to leave it there. Thanks so much for joining the show this morning. It was a pleasure seeing you again.
Yeah, thanks for having me.
That was eToro U.S. investment analyst Callie Cox.